Whoa, slow down, relax, align, breathe, connect. It's always time for your best you. Hi, welcome. I'm Reverend Dr. Kat. I'm here today with a very interesting guest. I'm so excited to introduce to you today Nancy Nurge. Am I saying it correctly? Yep. Nancy, I'm telling you, you know a little bit of my backstory, and some of the viewers do too, but this is just such an exciting time in history.
It is.
It's so exciting because the medicine has lifted up its consciousness and it's bringing in a new way of healing. And that's why I've brought Nurse Nancy here today, because she's going to share with us a lot of really, really cool more scientific data. Nancy, you're certified to prescribe cannabis in the state of Connecticut, right?
I am.
And we call that medical marijuana.
Correct.
Right. So individuals in the state of Connecticut would normally have had to go through a whole process to go to their doctors and get their medical marijuana cards. But now, if I'm correct, they can come directly to you. Is that correct?
Well, it is. It's a little different than most people go to their primary care provider or their specialists. Okay. And what they do is they have one of the 21 diagnoses that qualify you for medical marijuana in Connecticut.
Okay, let's just stop there for a minute.
Sure.
Because I don't know if the viewers know there are 21.
Correct.
That's a lot of different areas of healing for you to be your best you. So some of the ways that we healed in the past weren't necessarily productive for our healing. Am I correct?
Correct.
And now we realize, and we're getting more scientific data through the research and the studies that have been done to show us that even for something if you named one of the 21.
The biggest one I think I see is more arthritis. That's psoriatic arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. And then on the other end of the spectrum have to do with more of the tragedy of PTSD and dealing with that. But honestly, most of my patients, one of the biggest issues is getting a good night's sleep.
Getting a good night's sleep. And so, this is the thing. A lot of these other pharmaceuticals that were available before, now, even the cannabis, medical marijuana is within the pharmaceutical industry. This is, within the confines. It's been regulated, it's organic, it's clean, it's provided in the best way for the healing of the patient. So now, when somebody who had arthritis before took something, it may have in fact caused a rebound. Am I correct?
A lot of different side effects.
Yeah.
In Connecticut, we're very lucky. We have 4 growers. Those growers grow under very strict climate and soil or hydroponic conditions. Then it's harvested, and those harvested are all tested. The extraction, all of the methods we have are very, very scientific. So by the time it gets to the dispensaries, you know exactly what you have. You don't have to worry about how it was grown. You don't have to worry, does it have pesticides in it or other things that can cause a lot of harm that unfortunately a lot of the marijuana before now had.
Yeah, well, I mean, whenever we go back in history and look at how we did things before, I mean, we realize we're evolving as humans, and many times we can even laugh at ourselves as adults and go, I can't believe I did that as a kid, right? So I mean, the beauty of the human is that we are evolving and that we are seeing new ways of not only exploring, the universe, because we are doing that as well, right?
Yeah.
But exploring ways that we can handle the universe within our own body.
Yeah.
And the connections of the mind, body, and spirit. So when I hear you saying, a lot of the patients are looking for a good night's sleep, or they're dealing with the arthritis. I know that there's the difference between the CBD and the THC.
Right.
And perhaps you could just take a moment
Sure.
to help the viewers understand a little bit.
Sure.
We can talk about it
Right.
continually through the seasons, but just to get started, so that if you are dealing with, maybe we could tell them where they can get the list of the 21.
Right, that's right. You can just Google Connecticut medical marijuana diagnosis, and Connecticut's got on their website all of it.
Connecticut marijuana
Diagnosis. Qualifying diagnosis.
Qualifying diagnosis, and
Right.
there'll be 21 there.
21 there.
And if you're in that category, then you can go to
Right.
your doctor.
Right. Well, what I do, the way I do it is you have to have that as a diagnosis. So I work with primary care physicians and specialists because they know what the diagnosis is, and they have been working with my patients to do that. And what I do is I qualify for that, and we put them through the process. And within 30 days, they get a temporary card, and about 2 months later, they get their official card. But with that temporary card, you can go to one of the, I think we have between 12 and 15 dispensaries.
And
across.
growing every
Yes,
year.
yeah, there
It's
have been
beautiful.
several
Yeah.
more that have been approved. And there's where it's really exciting in Connecticut. You meet with a pharmacist, and this pharmacist knows what they have in there. You talk about the way you want to do it, because you don't have to smoke anymore. You can do it through a lot of other different carriers, so that the medical marijuana is ingested in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got oils.
Right.
They've got honey.
Yeah.
They've got cookies.
Edibles.
They've got
Tincture that goes under your
tinctures.
tongue.
Yeah, so
They've
if you're
got
having
vaping.
dental work, they have
Yeah.
the vaping.
Yeah.
And then there's also the raw flour.
Right.
There's various ways that you can boil the raw flour and make tea. Okay, especially if you don't like to smoke
Right.
flour.
There's
but you want
multiple
to have another
alternatives.
way of enjoying it. Boil some water, put a little flour in it, and you've got a little, just as if you put a tea bag in, but it's a low,
Right.
and you're not hurting yourself.
Right.
So it's so exciting to hear that. So if you haven't, and if you are interested in learning more about that, if you think you may be in that category, please don't hesitate to check that out on the internet, because you may be fascinated to learn, like I've said so many times, the things that we thought we knew before, and then we learn more, and then we know that, well, the earth isn't flat. And we can fly, and we can do heart replacements. Just think of how we're expanding, and some of the ways that we were, remember I've talked about this, programmed into understanding things. So our programming requires shifting sometimes, because we may be programmed to believe one thing is a truth. But then you realize that wasn't the truth.
Right. Well, we stand on the shoulders of giants. In the 70s, people tried to convince the government that this was can be used for medicinal. And because of political and greed, it was all dismissed, and it was put as a drug that had no medicinal value and also was highly addictive.
Yeah.
And we know those things today aren't true.
Yeah.
And we're also seeing just a renaissance. This is not just a weed, it's a revolution.
Yeah.
And we are revolutionizing one patient at a time.
It truly is. It truly does make a difference. Now, all of you know that I am an alternative path follower, and so it's no surprise to so many of you that I have used, and I continue to be an advocate of alternative healing. I'm 64, a stage 3 infiltrating breast cancer survivor who went alternative, and so I'm, dancing a jig now to see that the whole system has shape-shifted to realize that, yeah, wow, we can do it really so much better, and why do we want to not go that way?
Right.
I mean, think about it. Why not?
You and I are standing up and saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have an alternative here for so many different types of people and conditions that can be really helped by it.
Absolutely. And, even for the children, I know that the children who have the seizures, et cetera, the CBD. And I think we should chat a little bit about that, Nancy, because people get confused and they get a little afraid.
Sure.
Let's just be honest.
Sure.
Because they think of THC
Right.
and they think they're going to lose their mind. Remember Mad Reefer back
Right,
then? Remember that?
Reefer Madness.
So
and
funny.
it's so funny if you look at that, but that really scared people.
Well, it was designed
yes,
to.
It was
programmed to make you afraid.
But you asked a question before. The cannabis is a plant, okay? And with the plant, there are number of different active ingredients that work on what we call your endocannabinoid system. Just like you have a digestive system, you've got a nervous system, you have an endocannabinoid system.
Isn't that, now that means that within our human design, we have receptors that are waiting for this.
Right.
Now, why would God design that into our bodies if it wasn't for our ability for the bodies to self-heal?
Exactly.
Am I saying something that's too out there for everybody?
No, it's very true. And the cannabinoids that are in the medical marijuana plant actually work with all of those receptors to modulate things like pain, inflammation, anxiety, and this actual natural attachment and a modulation of that is what brings us back to being what we call normal, or what's called homeostasis.
Into a state of balance within the
Exactly.
body. And let's emphasize this, because you know I'm a stickler. And you know, I'm going to say this, and I know some, you know, of my friends always get upset with me, but I'm clear about it. For your body, when you're using the cannabis plant and you're trying to heal your body, you're not going to contrary eat a food that you know is going to cause inflammation.
Right.
If inflammation is something that your body is having a struggle with,
Right.
and you're using cannabis, and then you go, oh, I don't feel inflamed anymore, let me eat a bag of Dorito chips.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a certain ownership and accountability, as with any time that we're healing. But the beauty of the cannabis is that you can actually heal. And we're not talking about
Very
something
true.
that's going to cause an addictive side effects. There's no one that is anyone ever in history. You can go and do all the research on yourself that's caused or committed a suicide.
Well,
Is
I
there?
think the
I know
challenge,
that's
you can
one of
never
the things they talk
overdose.
about.
You can never overdose on medical marijuana.
Well, that's what the big
Exactly,
fear is, because in the state
exactly.
of Connecticut, the Oxycontin and the outgrowth of Oxycontin and the realization that giving it to the patients for what was considered a short term,
Right.
in fact, turned into a
long-term
long-term
addiction.
disaster
And then when
for
they-
a lot of really beautiful people.
A lot of
who
it.
lost everything because they were trying to take care of their bodies and follow what the doctors said.
Right.
So we know we have a better way now. And
Right.
a lot of the patients that were using the Oxycontin are now being
Yes.
for
it's
pain.
What we're looking forward to, and I'm going to hopefully present in September at the meeting, that chronic pain should become one of those diagnoses. And also, anyone who's on opioids and wants to get off of them, you can use medical cannabis to get off of opioids.
Now, is that one of the categories?
It is
Oh,
not
see,
yet,
That's
I
what
know.
yeah.
Now,
I think
we're
that's
working,
what we're really
well,
working
I think,
towards.
and we have an incredible board. And what you do is you go in, and I've asked members of my patients, I'm on the Facebook, I've asked people to come in and do witness, because the board does listen to them. And what we're looking to do is continually expand that list. And it's done by testimonies, because we, as you know, it's still illegal federally.
Right.
So it's very challenging to get research done.
Very
But the
challenging.
research that's coming out of places where it is legal, like California and Colorado and Israel and Spain, that research is really proving that this cannabis is very beneficial.
Well, you know, you mentioned Israel, and I think, isn't Israel on the forefront of
Yes.
this? I mean, when you think about the brilliance
Exactly.
of minds in Israel, it doesn't surprise us,
Yeah,
does it really?
no,
That-
no.
that, you know,
And they are very much on the forefront of a lot of research too, which is wonderful.
So,
especially with children, which I think is great.
well, yeah, I think it's the children, you know, because we've used a lot of the drugs on the children, which have actually caused the children to not get better as
Right.
adults.
Right.
And now we realize that actually the CBD is an anti-anxiety type of a substance,
right.
and even anti-seizure substance
Right.
that can help a lot of and help focus. And again, we're talking about the difference between the CBD and the THC.
Well, they're both components of the plant. And the good news is, with having a higher CBD percentage, the THC can work, but it doesn't give you the high effect of it.
Exactly.
So with children, what you do is a very low THC and a very high CBD. You know, when you have cancer, it's more a 1-to-1 ratio. So this is where our pharmacists come in the fact that this is really the beginning of personalized medicine, because how things affect me and how I would ingest it may be completely different than what you do.
Absolutely.
It also depends, have you ever used it before, how your body, and then you have the individual plants and all their percentages. So it really is an exciting time to be out there.
I like what you just said, because it does bring medicine back to each individual is uniquely different. Instead of this standard of care, everybody gets this pill and think that that pill is going to react the same way in everybody, but that standard of care is starting to slowly disintegrate into a more personalized care.
Definitely.
Now, the thing, of course, that makes it sometimes challenging for everyone is that the insurance company isn't on board with this yet.
Insurance does not pay for a thing.
Insurance isn't on board with this, so this is all out of the pocket expenses, which adds another layer for us who have been, you know, going through the challenge of the journey, and you know, it does add. But you know, if we can still be a witness and stand and be able to say, but it's worth it. See, you're worth it, okay?
No,
and start to realize how special and worth saving yourself from becoming into a cycle of being sick. You could take charge of your own body.
Definitely.
You can take charge. You can get a little bit more personalized.
Right.
Yeah, I know it's going to cost money, but the way I look at it is cut back on another expense. You know, I understand it's challenging. I do believe that the insurance companies will be catching up soon, however. I don't think that they're going to not be a part of it. I think that we have a little bit of a federal issue, and when you were talking about PTSD, I keep thinking about the vets, because they
that's
can't
tragic.
access.
Do you know they are killing themselves at the rate of 10 to 20 a day?
A sin for us.
And they have proven that medical marijuana will help reduce the symptoms of PTSD.
Yes.
And yet they still won't recognize it.
Well, because we have to reclassify it.
Oh, definitely.
And
that would be that. And I still don't understand why that hasn't happened.
It's politics.
It's money. It's greed.
So, you know, I say, and you know me, I'm about, you know, we have to take charge of ourselves. And even when they tell you, you're going to die, Kat, you can't do this, you know, or no, Columbus, if you go and take that boat, you're going to go off the end of the earth, okay? So, you know, trust enough that we're sitting here, and I've brought, you know, a nurse on who's certified in the state of Connecticut to register you, that's enough of a comfort to know that, oh, I see, it's different now.
It is.
I don't have to be afraid that it's some kind of crazy thing, or, you know, or run away from it because it's going to make me loopy.
Right. Well, you've got your doctor, you've got me or another nurse practitioner or a medical doctor. And then in Connecticut, as I said, you've got a pharmacist. All three of us are going to working towards your goal of relieving the symptoms to the best of our ability.
Yeah, and I think actually, you know, and I'm going to be bold to say this because I think it's beyond just relieving the symptoms. I think it's actually helping to heal the body.
Yeah, I agree. It's just very challenging until we get the research to say that. That's where we need to focus on it.
Yes, but you know, we know this in our, you know, I always say we have a gut that tells us so much. We know what we know. Didn't Dr. Seuss say, you know what you know? You got a head on, you got a brain on your head, you got feet on your bottom. You know what you know, you know. And so when we can see that we know that it's making a difference, and we have to wait for the research to catch up, we know that research is 10, 15 years behind. What is it?
Right. I would say within the next 2 to 3 years, a lot of studies are coming out of different areas of the country, and they've been more private funded. But the challenge, even with any research, gets back to that personalized medicine. How it works with you is going to be completely different than how it works with me. So research deals in large numbers.
Right.
What we have to deal with is how does it work for you?
Right, and that one-on-one is more than
Crucial.
just the plant. It has to do with how do you treat your body. Remember,
Right.
I've talked about self-love. You had a self-love day
Yeah,
yesterday,
I did.
right?
Yeah, the Norwich Spa.
Right, and
Yes.
and taking those moments to stop the grind of the system, to be aware of how you're treating yourself. Even when we are overextending or we ate the wrong food, you can bring it back into balance. You can bring it back into a homeostasis.
You can.
I mean, maybe you have to drink a little chlorophyll water to do it.
I don't know about that, but
well, pH being what it is, but and chlorophyll has wonderful oxygen in it. So I'm a big fan of a few drops of chlorophyll every once in a while to help the brain wake up. But the greens are good for us, and broccoli is chlorophyll. But it's nice to get a little drop or two once in a while, especially if you're flying.
I did not know that.
Well,
so
it's just about kind of keeping the oxygenation in the blood.
there you go.
Yeah. So when we're getting our pH over into one side too much, we want to balance it out. Like when we're using a CBD. So we're having a lot of CBD for a child and a little THC.
Little THC.
And what happens is there's no psychoactive element.
No.
But the child is relieved and calm. The seizures have
seizures free.
reduced, sometimes to the point, I don't know if you've watched the show Viceland. It's on the TV, but they give a lot of research on that. It reduces down and reduces down. And some child may have had 40 seizures in
Hundreds a day.
Oh my goodness.
Down to one or
Down
two.
to one or two. And
Yeah.
what a relief that is for the
Can you
human
imagine
form.
being the parent of that child to see that happen and then being told you can't do it
Yeah.
because it's illegal?
Well, they leave states and they run
Yeah,
away
they
and
do.
do what they have
do,
to do
yeah.
for your children. You'll do what, right, mothers?
Yes.
We'll do what we have to do for our kids, right?
Yeah, as the mother
So-
of 5 girls,
right.
I agree. I would
Right.
do whatever it takes.
We will. And as a woman who is the mother, of all, they say the barren woman, right? So we are the mother of everyone, and so we want you all to be well. I want you all to be healed. I want you all to be able to take your own ownership. And what a beautiful time we are right now that we can do that. We actually can do that. We can take a look and see, am I on the list of 21? And if I'm not on the list of
How do I
21,
get there?
how do I get there?
Right.
And what would that be?
Well,
We
that's
have
what
2
we're
minutes
working.
left quickly.
Right. We're testifying. It's I believe the date is September 25th.
The September
And the board
25th date.
meets. And what I'm looking to do is get people on board to increase that list of 21. And the ones I'm focusing on are chronic pain, and then also the opioids. So
Right.
that's what I'm focusing on. But they're open to any of the diagnosis that you have that you feel, and we can have some sort of documentation that it's working. And that
Now, may I just interrupt? Is this an open forum that we're
It is an
inviting
open-
people to come to?
Yep,
So let's just make
everyone's
sure we've
for.
got this
Yeah.
down. It's September.
I can get back to you. I
Yeah,
apologize. I didn't have that.
We can have a way that we can connect you with
Right.
this.
I
but
will
it's
have
coming
posted
up
on
in
my
September.
website.
On Nancy's
So, right,
website,
NancyNurgeNP.com.
NancyNurgeNP.com.
I will put it on there then.
We'll have the information up there.
For them.
And then if you can come and bring whatever you can bring,
Even
then
your
you're
own personal
continuing
testimony.
to expand the consciousness of the physicians so that they can see and they can go, aha, I
Yes.
see. Well, yes, we in fact do need to add this on to our list, and you are being considered. So in order to be considered, bring your voice to the table.
Definitely.
And then we can hear you, because we can't hear you if you don't come, right?
Got it. Very true.
All right. So is there anything else you want to just
No,
add
thank
to
you. No, I admire you and your journey. That gives me great hope when it actually works. Anecdotal is all we have right now, and that's individual stories of people. And I've got my patients that keep coming back to me, and that's how I'm reinforced to stay strong for this.
All right, well, I guess we're winding up. I think that's, we watch the camera, guys, but I'm telling you, I'm inspired by you being
Thank you.
inspired, by me being inspired, and it's like a vortex of inspiration.
It is.
So it's a wonderful thing. And yeah, your story matters, medical humanities, we got to keep our stories up and alive or else they won't know we have them.
Right.
You got to tell your stories. Love you guys. See you next time.
Thank
Your
you.
best you.